no, their contract, their work is not value for money and should be ended in, I think it was March. I've already referred to one area of their work. They've actually got two contracts, one for the housing first, and then the other one in terms of reducing street homelessness. To be honest, nobody could have reduced the street homelessness by 20% over that period. And whoever tried to develop a contract in that form are doing things they know nothing about whatsoever. So I wouldn't blame St Mungo's for not meeting that aim. I'd just say make sure that in future the people that agree any of these contracts, preferably don't agree any contracts, do it in-house. But if contracts are agreed, at least get them looked at by somebody who knows something about housing and homelessness and achieving real ends rather than ticking boxes. Because one of the problems with a lot of these contracts is it's just a matter of ticking a box. And that's what's concentrated upon, not the actual needs of the people they're dealing with. It's the view of the Housing Coalition, and we've got well over 20 organisations who are all community-based, not funded by statutory funding, that St Mungo shouldn't be working in Brighton and Hove. Some of the workers are brilliant, the individuals, committed, know what they're doing, and do go the extra mile. There's no criticism of those workers. They're not provided with the facilities. Most of the contract money is siphoned off to St Mungo's nationally. And as I say, I will never forgive, personally, any organisation that's been cooperating with the Home Office to deport people who are homeless. And as I say, I know there's a difference of opinion, but I can provide you with the court rulings, and we work with some of the lawyers that have actually taken this case to the High Court and to the Supreme Court. But I suppose I don't need to add anything else, really. No contract with St Mungo's, and especially in our city of Sanctuary, which was confirmed at the last full council meeting.
Thank you, Steve. Jim?
This could be good. Okay, St Mungo's, 63 million in property, 18 million in the bank. They don't have an office in Brighton. They've got 5 staff who use their rented desks available. They're underfunded. I've had them crying on my shoulder. I've had them sending me emails because they really, really, really want to help the people who they walk up to in the street and go, oh my God, you're so vulnerable. You could be beaten, you could be raped, you are so vulnerable that I'm going to put you on the vulnerable housing list, which is sitting at over 200 people. So supported accommodation, everybody thinks the more need you are, the easier it is to get help, when it's actually totally the reverse. Because if you actually need supported accommodation, it's the highest list in the city, whereas if you actually don't need that much support, a little bit of help could get you into, accommodation. St Mungo's are forced to go into the street and deliver the terribly bad news that regardless of how vulnerable you really are, I can't take you off the street tonight. They're running a project, or they have on their emails all the minute saying, no second night out, or third, or fourth, or fifth, or month, or 2 years. It's just ludicrous that they're giving the amount of money, £1.2 million over the 2 contracts, over a 3-year period, and that the workers for St Mungo's are probably stressed beyond belief. In fact, I spoke to one yesterday who's stressed out of his mind. And I've spoke to former St Mungo's workers who are even more stressed. In his words, they ruined my life and forced me into debt, which is an amazing, response to give to your former employer. The answer is really simple, Claire. Get some homeless people who who've been really homeless, bring them inside the council and employ them. Because they're going to give you answers that you've never heard before, and they may well sound unorthodox, but they will give you answers you've never heard before. And the second part is, take the key workers from St Mungo's, away from St Mungo's, inside the council. Give them a desk in a council building and allow them to assess people correctly and quickly. And the last person we need is somebody with medical experience who can tell the difference between somebody who's trying it on with a bad leg and somebody who doesn't actually even have a leg, because that's exactly what's happening in the city. The most vulnerable are being left for weeks, months and sometimes years on the city. By the time we give them any help, it's too late. It's really, really too late.
All right, is St Mungo's value for money, I think, was the question. We tendered out the contract for our street outreach service, and St Mungo's won that tender. They were the best organisation who came forward as a leading organisation in the country, have a lot of expertise in running homeless and rough sleeping services. That, we have to go through the due diligence. That's a process that the council goes through whenever they tender out a contract. They have been overwhelmed because of all the issues that we've discussed tonight. It's a very stretched service. When we come around to re-tender the service, obviously we will evaluate how that's gone and we will go back to the drawing board. That's an opportunity to look at re-tendering or indeed bringing the service in-house, and that work will happen. Just to reassure you, though, that the money isn't siphoned off. The money that we spend for all of the contracts within the city is spent within the city on that service. So we're not subsidising reserves in an organisation or money elsewhere. It's spent in the city. I think, as I said earlier, I really take my hat off to a lot of the charity workers that we have in the city who do a fantastic job in very difficult circumstances. The demand is going to go up, and we're going to do our best as a council to meet the demand. It isn't an easy fix. We don't have a magic wand in terms of providing places for very vulnerable people. We have some of the most vulnerable rough sleepers in the city with very high mental health needs, substance misuse needs. It's quite different to a lot of other areas in the country where people have low need. And certainly I've spoken to a lot of the St Mungo's workers who have said with the Brighton night shelter, it's been so good to have an offer to give someone to be able to say, well, we can bring you into the night shelter and then start to work with them and have some of those conversations that you need to have when they're in the warm and they're dry and they're fed. So all of these are part of the picture, and all I can say is we will look at the contract and we will do the very best to get the very best value for money that we can. And again, we will talk to the Housing Coalition and other partners in terms of doing that work. I'm very happy to have those conversations.